I think initially I would try him on the second line. You've been looking for that winger for JT and Marner for like 3 years. Who better than Ryan OReilly, who you know is going to be sort of a versatile guy, Swiss Army type guy, and reliable defensively. You pair him with a John Tavares. I like that fit. But then you also have the benefit, push comes to shove in a matchup game, Rosie, in the Stanley Cup playoffs against Tampa. You can afford to have OReilly as your third line center too.
Totally, man. It's a versatility thing, and just just imagine that line. Like, look at the combinations you could throw in,
Yeah.
and any line in the top six where you insert Ryan OReilly, you're just like, are you kidding me? Like, that is a deadly, deadly line. And then you're able to fill out your forwards, like you said, on the third line if he's kind of in that bottom six. I mean, the sky's the limit, and it's just going to come down to, say you throw him with, a Johnny T and whoever, like, Marner, Nylander, or whatever. And all of a sudden, does that work out chemistry wise? Are they in the places that make sense to the other one? Do they go into places in certain situations, goal scoring situations, where it's like, that's kind of a weird place to be right now, or whatever? Do they just click? And I mean, players of that caliber, you got to think they can adapt and become just deadly line with whatever. But it'll be interesting to see who he clicks with immediately, and who starts to start to roll together and make these plays and find each other. And you point at each other after a goal and you go, "Oh, how about that?" And you start rolling. And I mean, just thinking about this forward group being even more deadly offensively and clicking even more is just scary to think about, man. And like you say, it's what we've been missing in the playoffs when we've come up short.
Yeah, the sandpaper too. And I think the underrated part of this deal actually is Nola Chari, who we saw quite a bit with the Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, and has been doing his thing the last little while here with the St. Louis Blues. I think you can never have enough depth. We've talked about this throughout this season. The common misconception with this Leafs team and their ungluing in the Stanley Cup playoffs recently hasn't been their defense, hasn't been their goaltending. It's been the lack of depth, lack of scoring from their big boys when it matters most. So you add O'Reilly, you add a guy like Nola Chari, who's going to firmly fit in your bottom six, and he brings a bit of sandpaper, and both guys can play the PK. Like, I think you could always use a boost from that perspective. So I look at it as a win, quite frankly. Like, very seldom do you look at a trade on the surface and say, hey, they won that trade, but I feel really good about what Kyle Dubas did here.